Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at our March 18th meeting. Please take note of the exits around the room in case of emergency, and now join me in saluting the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a new public hearing for HUTCHINS-STAATSBURG Storage, LLC. The applicants are seeking site plan approval to convert what was the former PDQ manufacturing into a general commercial use storage. The applicants are not proposing much in the way of exterior renovation except to add a portico over the entrance, so in case of rain, people can move their things in and out dryly. We've met with the applicants a number of times already to discuss things. The applicants are not here this evening because we did not hear back from Dutchess County Planning, so we're going to have to adjourn the meeting regardless. Make it a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone like to speak about this application? Any comments from the board?
No.
No comment.
No, I just appreciate the way the exterior, the plantings are going and the recommendations, so I think we're on the right track.
After our agenda meeting, I emailed the applicant's representatives to tell them that we would likely add as conditions of any considered approval the addition of 2 trees, one to be in the southwest corner where there's currently a parking space, and one in the northwest corner, southwest corner, and then one in the northwest corner where there's a sort of large expanse of lawn. And the applicant indicated, their client indicated that they were fine with doing that. They'll be removing the macadam before the CO. That would be a condition of CO. That was about the only comments we had at the agenda meeting. So there being no other comment, may I get a motion to adjourn this to April 1st?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a new public hearing for Camp Victory Lake. May I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
In this application, there were several of us who did a site visit. You'll have received a memo from the visit, making my notes for the record. There was a centralized wastewater treatment plant constructed under an approved site plan that was granted back in 2007. The applicants failed to renew the approval and did not have the construction completed in the required 2-year time period, so the site plan approval lapsed. They're back now just seeking reapproval of that original site plan. As you know, when we took the walk, we discovered that there had never been an actual central wastewater system. All that was there were cesspools and individual septic fields. They have closed all of the old ones. We're still waiting to hear from either Department of Health or from the applicant's engineer how that was done, if it was done to whatever requirements there are from Department of Health. But in the meantime, we noticed that all the laterals have been completed now for the central sewage treatment plant. It's per my notes, it was actually a very neat and tidy sort of place, and they have built it for a lot of excess capacity. Would anyone like to speak about this application? Any comments from the board? Mr. Signa?
The only comment is that it was a top-notch installation by everybody's standards, and they took into consideration a lot of issues that have been concerns for the board, such as emergency fire equipment access. It's relatively easy to get to, but certainly the quality speaks for itself.
I agree. There's a lot of driveway space around it for fire trucks, anybody in case of mishap. Mr. Murphy, any comments? To my right? If you want to speak, you'll have to come up.
My first time here, excuse me.
It's okay.
I live across the street from you.
Sure, come on up. Could you just sit down and state your name for the record?
Stephen Runza, 268 Plum Elbow Road. So they've never had this plant. They had approval, but they never went through with it?
No, what happened was the way our code reads, once you have an approval, you have to begin your construction within a year.
Okay.
Then you have another year to finish it. Somewhere, so it's basically 2 years. Under our code, if someone hasn't completed everything, they're allowed to come up and say, I need an extension, and we can grant extensions pretty far out.
Okay.
In this case, what happened was they built the sewage treatment plant, and they hooked up one building to it pretty quickly, the building that's used the most, the cafeteria, the meeting hall, it's kind of red brick building you see back in the back. Then they hooked up a few more, but they've basically been taking their time raising funds, of course, because it's a religious institution camp, getting all the other buildings, the laterals taken back through there,
So this has been in operation?
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
To
yes.
some extent? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good, okay.
And for that matter, it was in my memo, one of the interesting things we learned from the site visit was, since you live across the street, you'll know, the camp is used sporadically, but in spikes, as I'll call it.
Oh, yeah,
There's a day in July that I've seen myself where there's about 6,000 people there.
tell me about it.
Yeah, and then there are other times where they have smaller camps. They have one, I think, for Haitians. And then there's occasional meetings of this is the Northeastern Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists, but that's usually about 20 to 70 people. So they keep the cafeteria open throughout the year, but when we were there, the day we were there hadn't been any activity, so there was no flow whatsoever in the sewer. And one thing that's not in my memo, but I thought was interesting, was there was about 20 large bags of dry milk.
More than that.
Maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And they have to periodically, because there's so little, polite term, nutrients going into the system, they have to put in powdered milk so they keep the aerobic, or the bacteria working, the aerobic process. So
So
it's,
this will be monitored, there's gonna be any, like odors?
The health department does.
actually, the operator is VRI, who has done most of the town. We have a few sewer districts here for neighborhoods like Greenfields. VRI is required by the permit from the Department of Health to monitor it every day. So even though there's no flow, there's actually someone who comes in there every day. For a system like this, most of the days, it's about 20 minutes just to check on everything.
Right.
For the size system that it could be, it might be an hour if everything were operating. In addition, when they have the 6,000 people, because they don't have enough toilets or fixtures to have all the people use them, they bring in portable toilets during that time, and then they're taken back out. So I can tell you this, from the exterior, there was absolutely no odor, and when we walked in, there was a little bit of one when we first walked in, and that dissipated pretty quickly. And it's set really far back from
But then
Albany.
again, it's not being used to its intended full capacity either. So
No, but
about
the way,
6,000 people.
right, but the 6,000 people would never be using toilets that would feed into the system. That's why they have to have the porta
Oh, okay, I
potties.
thought it was,
No. If the applicants have indicated in an offline meeting I had with them maybe 2 years ago, that they're interested if they can raise the funds in trying to create put a few more buildings in, like have a bouncy thing for the
Right,
kids.
right.
Expand, in other words, some of the recreational uses.
Okay.
And if that happens, when they do it, they're going to try to build another building that would just have bathrooms. So that's why it's been built larger. But this will never be like a functioning camp that would, or I shouldn't say never, they could always sell it, but that would require us to take a look at it, or whatever planning board in the future, take a look at it again for expansion of the use.
More bigger,
Thank you.
the health
Yeah.
department would be the bigger participant in any expansion.
Right.
Okay, we're not qualified to talk about the inner workings. All right, so that's the health department, but any expansion of that kind would come under their purview.
Okay.
And this is, even though it's a treatment plant, the effluent, as it's called, that goes out is pretty clear water. We stood right by it. There was no sense whatsoever. The solids still have to be removed periodically. But this is as the systems and technology go, this is actually a pretty sophisticated system. It condenses down the solids until they're really solid. That lowers the expense of when you have it removed, and not have all the fluid still in there. So it's, like I said, it's a pretty innovative system. I was surprised to see it on this site.
Okay, very good, thank
Any
you.
other questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
No problem, thank you.
Did you have any questions, sir?
No, pretty much answered.
Okay.
I was just worried because I got the letter and it said,
If you don't come up to speak in the microphone, no, I'm going to get beeped by our director.
I'm sorry. My name is Paul Evans.
Thank you.
I live on 236 Cardinal.
Oh, okay.
So
Around the corner.
I actually could see the treatment plant from my house, if I go over the stone wall and I see it down there.
Right.
But, I was just wondering, because I got the letter,
Sure.
it said 150 feet from my house, a reapproval for a new water treatment plant. I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, right.
Right. What-
So.
And the way this works, because the way, our code, the way we notify people is, the site is, really big, So
Yeah.
your property is at one edge. It's not that
Right, right.
but I understand your concerns. So no, there's not, there won't be another new one going in because
Yeah,
this
this
has
is it.
enough room to expand for
Yeah,
whatever
I've-
future they
I've
need.
seen it. I know
Yeah.
the guys that, run the camp and stuff.
Good, good.
Basically, now they cover them. It's all covered,
Right.
so.
And that, by the way, that's required, I believe, under their permit to stay covered.
Yeah.
So those white housing in the back,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're only using 2 of them right now. That's where they do what's called the roughing.
It's a big plant.
That's what I
Huge.
said.
It's oversized.
When we saw it, Ed and I were both shocked because I've been to the Greenfields neighborhood plant.
Mm-hmm.
That serves a lot more houses, or a lot more toilets, let's say, than what this one does, and it's much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I think they may have overspent, but it's probably to the benefit, here's the applicant's representative right now.
Yeah.
I think it's to the benefit of everyone because it's a nice, clean system, and like I said, no odors present, nothing.
As backup generator, everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has a backup generator that's there, and a fuel tank for the backup generator. That's all to the side that faces the west, so you maybe could see it. I'm not sure exactly where your property
Probably
is.
the nicest ones I've seen.
Oh, good, okay. I didn't you say that.
Great.
Plumber pipe fitter for 30 years.
Aha,
I've
and you're familiar with it.
been and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work offshore when I was a kid, and going inside that, this was as clean as anything I've ever seen for a mechanical area, because offshore, there's sometimes not much to do except clean. But this was like that. It was pretty spotless. I was impressed.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Mr. Renia has arrived. This is the applicant's engineer. You don't need to show anything if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
right,
to.
you're doing fine without that.
Way good.
You just had we had 2 questions from neighbors as to whether this was a new system being installed. And I pointed out what we learned in our site visit, that there had been individual systems, both cesspools and septic, like sand filter systems, serving the individual buildings. Now they're all connected. And since we sent this over to the Department of Health, I'm advised by Pete Sotero that we'd still like to know that they were all closed out properly, whatever the systems were, but I don't know exactly how those are closed out.
To reclose it out? Because we had a letter from the Department of Health from 2012, which was a letter, the authorization to operate the system,
Great.
which means that they've accepted the certification and they
Great.
gave their go ahead and run it and operate it.
Great. So we were prepared to take action tonight, but we weren't prepared to take action tonight because we didn't get the plans to refer them until, I think, just a couple of weeks ago. So, and all the agencies
We
have
haven't
30
heard back
days.
from Dutchess
Yeah.
County Planning yet.
So we were going to adjourn this to April 1st.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I made you come out. I told the other representatives they didn't have
I had
to,
a
sorry.
meeting run late and I was racing out and
Okay. Thank you then. Any other comments from the board? Can I get a motion to adjourn this to April 1st?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Rennie, and thank you, fellow Hyde Parkers, for coming out. The next item on the agenda is a site plan waiver for Ray. The applicant lives on Scenic Drive, and she's in the statewide area of scenic significance. It's a generator that will be to the side of the house that is not going to be visible from the river, which is why this is in the SAS. So I'm going to go ahead and read the site plan waiver resolution because we have a recommendation from the zoning administrator. This will be Resolution 15-5. Site plan waiver of Town Code Section 108-9.4C2. Whereas an application requesting waiver of site plan has been made to the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board on March the 1st, 2015 by Deborah Ray for property located at 22 Scenic Drive in Hyde Park, New York. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board hereby waives site plan requirements for the file entitled Ray regarding the specific request as submitted on March 1st, 2015, and in the building permit application filed for this project.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a sign permit recommendation. There are 2 of them for Stewart's Shop. This is number 313 on Route 9. If you recall, it's at 3648 Albany Post Rd. We granted the applicants a site plan approval for some improvements to the exterior structure. They're also expanding the fuel canopy. And at the time, we approved a freestanding sign, but then discovered that the applicants had not quite indicated that it was internally lit, which is not allowed in our code, so that would be withdrawn. And now we have 2 recommendations. Tad has reviewed them. They're code compliant. So who has this file?
I do. Resolution number 15-8, 3648 Albany Post Road, wall sign replacement, parcel 6163-03-002355, whereas be it resolved that the board hereby recommends a sign permit be issued within 10 days of this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Let me do the second one too.
You're on a roll.
Thank you.
Resolution number 15-9, 3648 Albany Post Road, freestanding sign replacement, parcel 6163-03-002355, whereas be it resolved, the board hereby recommends a sign permit be issued within 10 days of this resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And the second to last item on the agenda is the freestanding sign at Roosevelt Cinemas. This sign has been existing for a while. It had never received approval, and Ms. Moss has been going through doing some enforcement for illegal signs, and it is otherwise code compliant. It's never received permit or approval. So
Okay.
we have a recommendation from Ms. Moss. Who has this file?
I do.
Thank you.
Whereas be it resolved, the board hereby recommends a sign permit be issued within 10 days of this resolution. It's a resolution recommendation for issuance of sign permit for 4060 Albany Post Road.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. And the last item on the agenda is a quick discussion of some exempt signage. We have the former, we all call it the former Edo Sushi, is now the office of New York State Senator Sue Serino, as well as the district office for Congressman Chris Gibson. Because it's in a shopping center, which some people don't realize, you're only allowed one or possibly two directory signs. In this case, the shopping center now has two directory signs, one where the light is and one at the new entrance by McDonald's. However, government signs are exempt from the code, and I believe that Ms. Moss has received a notification from the New York State Senate, as well as from Washington, D.C., that these are required signs, which makes them exempt from the code. So there's no recommendation. She just wanted us to put this in the record, that these signs are exempt, just in case people ask, so that we all know as well. If you take a look at them, by the way, I have to say they're pretty nice signs. They look like what we like in Hyde Park to see. They're two-post. They chose the background red color, which matches the signs across the way at Liberty Bell Tower Plaza, I think it's called. So they're great-looking signs, and they'll be up shortly. Any discussion on this from the rest of the board?
I think they're nice. They're very nice.
Thank you, I agree. I salute Congressman Gibson and Senator Serino for choosing signs that exemplify the best of what we have here in Hyde Park.
As well as making nice use of an old building.
I agree. It's nice to see that being used again
Yes.
after so long it's sitting empty.
Excellent use.
Is there any other business from the board? There being none, we get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Media Committee, and thank you, guys.
That was an easy one.
Michael?
Because I'm a